I want to rock and roll all night and make America great again every day. That's what President Donald Trump, I imagine, was saying to Gene Simmons when he awarded him the Kennedy Center Honors, which happened last night. President Donald Trump gave the Kennedy Center Honors to multiple various American artists, including the members of KISS, George Strait, the country music. I think he's still the highest ranked country music singer of all time with the most #1 hits. Gloria Gaynor was there as well. And of course, Sylvester "Sly" Stallone.
A spectacular person. One of the true great movie stars. There aren't many. There used to be a lot. There aren't many now. But he's one of the great legends and had some of the greatest movies ever, including the top grossing movies ever. Sylvester "Sly" Stallone. Sly. This is great, Sly. It's an honor.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it. Should I
Thank
go
you.
over here?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, go over. Yeah, just go stand over there with the restroom. That's Sylvester Stallone, who is accepting his Kennedy Center honor there in the Oval Office, and it was really an incredible sight to see. President Donald Trump had Gloria Gaynor, who was under intense pressure by the left-wing lunatics to reject the award from President Donald Trump, but she said, "Heck no, I will survive your animosity and your angst." And she was more than thrilled to go to the White House and to the Kennedy Center and accept the honors for her lifetime achievements and her life of artistic works that have touched so many people. It was really interesting to see every single one of the honorees, everyone who was announced by President Donald Trump to be receiving this prestigious award. They showed up, they made it there, they said, "Yes, I will be honored by my president. Yes, I will be honored with this fantastic award for art and achievement. Yes, I want to be there." Putting politics aside and just celebrating some great American creativity and creative artists. And that's what the Kennedy Center is all about. A lot of people forget that, though. The entire crop of the members of KISS who were there, you've got Gloria Gaynor, you've got Sylvester Stallone, really a lot of Botox in the room, it looks like, as well, mostly in Sylvester Stallone. It's really interesting. And then George Strait on the end there in his cowboy hat. Very, 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 very cool crop of honorees who were able to make it to Washington, D.C. And President Donald Trump, don't forget, he hosted the entire event. This was the first time, I believe, that the sitting president has also hosted, and he was asked on the red carpet beforehand, how is it that you prepare for the Kennedy Center Honors hosting gig? Here's what he said.
How have you prepared to host tonight?
Well, maybe I haven't prepared. Maybe you want to be a little bit loose. If you look at the great hosts, Johnny Carson, Bob Hope, those are the greats. If you look at the not so greats like Jimmy Kimmel, he was just terrible. But no, I think you want to be just loose and not a lot to prepare for. Really. I've been asked. You know what you have to be? You have to be yourself.
Yeah, you got to be yourself. Donald Trump is like off the cuff, man. He's not. First of all, here's the thing. This is a president who has a lot on his plate. He's got peace deals in Ukraine that he's still trying to work on. He's got immigration and problems with Somalians all over Minnesota that he's got to deal with. He's got economic problems. He's looking to fire the Fed chief. He's got issues with the boats in Venezuela. He's trying to keep drugs out of this country, and Congress continues to battle with him. He's got a midterm election coming up, and this guy's like, how do you prepare for the Kennedy Center Honors? And President Donald Trump's probably like, dude, you're lucky I'm here in a tuxedo. I'll handle the rest from here. There's no dress rehearsal. There's no going over the script. There's no joke writers. There's me and a microphone and the honorees. Turn on that camera. Let's get this thing done. That's one of the most amazing things about President Donald Trump. He's constantly moving. Go, go, go. And he's right. When you're yourself, you don't really need to prepare. A couple of the things he is preparing for, though, however, is the end of the war in Ukraine. But again, he's starting to see the friction from the major players, including, and most, persistently difficult, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who President Donald Trump told reporters yesterday has not even read the peace agreement that they've given him.
What's your next step in Russia-Ukraine talks after last week's negotiations?
So we've been speaking to President Putin, and we've been speaking to Ukrainian leaders, including Zelensky, President Zelensky. And I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed that President Zelensky hasn't yet read the proposal. That was as of a few hours ago. His people love it, but he hasn't. Russia's fine with it. Russia, I guess, would rather have the whole country when you think of it. But Russia is, I believe, fine with it. But I'm not sure that Zelensky is fine with it. His people love it, but he hasn't read it. So someday you'll explain that one to me, Jeff.
It is an interesting scenario. President Donald Trump dealing with some very interesting and colorful characters in his career. But Vladimir Zelensky seems to be, again, one of the most self-serving of all world leaders. And all world leaders are a little self-serving, but Vladimir Zelensky definitely pops up to the top of that list. If you have Ukrainian officials who are behind this program, and if you have Russian officials who are behind this program, and if Vladimir Putin is behind this program, and if everyone in the United States is all ready to sign off on it, but you have one cog in the machine in Vladimir Zelensky, well, like I say, you could, if you sit down at the table and you can't tell who the sucker is, it's you. Same thing's happening. I believe, here in this particular scenario. Vladimir Zelensky, just the fly in the ointment. And we'll see how long President Donald Trump puts up with this, because Donald Trump loses his temper. We've seen him lose his temper with Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. And guess what? That peace deal got done pretty quickly after that happened. It'll be interesting. We've already seen him lose his temper with Vladimir Zelensky. You may remember when he got tossed out of the White House after an animous encounter with J.D. Vance, and President Donald Trump went south pretty quickly in the Oval Office. So we'll see exactly what happens. But President Donald Trump is not going to leave office without this war being settled. And if Vladimir Zelensky has to be removed from this scenario, I have a feeling President Donald Trump will have no problem moving for an election or some kind of, I don't know, coup d'etat. Who knows? But if you stand in President Donald Trump's way, he's going to remove you somehow. And that includes the Somalians in Minnesota, who have now been uncovered to have perpetrated one of the largest welfare fraud schemes in our entire history. And this is now a multifaceted effort. You've got the Treasury Department, you've got Homeland Security, you've got Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, you've got the executive branch, the DOJ, all investigating Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, her friends, her family, her constituents, and her district for perpetrating a massive welfare scheme that has bilked you and me and the rest of the American taxpayers out of billions of dollars.
A lot of money has been transferred from the individuals who committed this fraud, including those who donated to the governor, donated to Representative Omar, and donated to A.G. Ellison. But they've been transferred to something called MBSs. And those are
mortgage-backed security. What do you mean?
Sorry?
Transferred to what?
These are money the Bureau services, and they are wire transfer organizations that are outside the regulated banking system. And that money has gone overseas. And we are tracking that both to the Middle East and to Somalia to see what the uses of that have been.
Okay, but you have no evidence of that money being used to fuel terrorism at this point, which is what some conservative writers are alleging.
That's why it's an investigation. We started it last week. We'll see where it goes. But I can tell you that, it's terrible. Representative Omar tried to downplay it, said, it was very, it was very tough to know how this money should be used. Yeah. She was gaslighting the American people.
Well, we'll talk to her.
Yeah, but when you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
Okay, when you see the stop sign, you stop. When you see a red light, you also stop. You drive on the right, and don't defraud the American people. Okay, welcome to America. But look, it's the Somalians in Minnesota. Many of them are being investigated for fraud. Many of them are being investigated for being in the country illegally. And whether or not we find out that money has been filtered back to terrorist organizations or not, whether your taxpayer dollars have gone through the system and ended up in the pockets of terrorists in Africa or elsewhere in this country, or in this world rather, is one thing. But another thing that we know for sure is that many of these Somalians are here illegally. And that means that Tom Homan is more than happy to, remove them.
Well, look, we also know there's a large illegal Somali community there. There's illegal alien community, large illegal alien community there. You know, if you're a U.S. citizen, you have nothing to fear. We're looking for criminal aliens. And also, if you're a resident alien, you have like a felony conviction by statute, you could be set up for deportation. So we're looking for public safety threats, national security threats, and illegal aliens. Nothing's changed, Dana, from day one.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff. Here's what we're doing. We're basically doing what we've been doing since day one, finding illegal aliens, finding illegal criminals, and deporting them. But here's a new cog in the machine. If you are a naturalized citizen and you commit a felony, you could be deported. Just because you've been naturalized, you still have to follow the laws. And one of the repercussions of breaking the law or committing a felony is that you could be sent back to your country of origin, which in this case would be Somalia for Ilhan Omar, if she is in fact found guilty of committing some kind of felony, fraud, or embezzlement against the American people. Dana Bash from CNN, she was very concerned about some of the tactics that ICE is using, and she took the opportunity to ask Tom Homan, why is it that ICE officials are so tough on these illegal criminal thug aliens?
And there's just the aggressive tactics that we are seeing in video after video. You're comfortable with those tactics that we're all seeing with our own eyes?
Look, threats on ICE officers are up 1,200%. They're being doxxed on social media. They're getting death threats every day. They've been attacked. They've been shot at. And these officers are looking for the worst of the worst. So they're protecting themselves. And I think they're following the law. And if any ICE officer, border patrol agent, acts out of policy or does something inappropriate, they'll be held accountable. But we got to remember, they're under attack, and we're at a place in this country where all of a sudden the ones who enforce the law are bad guys, and the ones who broke the laws are victims. I'm going to trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol who've been trained very well. They're doing the right thing. But I'll say again, if someone does something inappropriate, out of policy, illegal, they need to be held accountable. But I simply think I haven't seen that. And again, I'm not in every arrest. I'm not in every operation. I trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol to do the right thing.
Yeah, so do I. So does Donald Trump. So do most Americans. And that is something that if only the media had the trust in ICE that the rest of us do, everything would be going very swimmingly. Look, there's a lot that we haven't been able to cover, but one thing that I do want to remind you of is how effective President Donald Trump has been as a leader, not just here in the United States of America, but on the global stage, not just in the arena of politics, but also he's a leader in the real estate industry, in the entertainment industry, now investing. And he's someone who has built an amazing brand and an incredible family. And we've been studying him for many years, traveled around, talked to him and his family, and come up with something which is really cool. It's a book that teaches you how to turn your life into a life like Donald Trump's, how to use Donald Trump's tactics and characteristics and ideas and habits to enhance your own life and make your own life as successful as his. It's called Go Trump Yourself, and you can get your very own copy delivered instantly. It's a digital download, an audio recording read by the author, which is me, and you can get that right now at gotrumpyourself.com. Go to gotrumpyourself.com, download the book, download the audiobook, listen to it today, read it today, and start living like Trump tomorrow.